Thanks for joining us as we explore 12 reasons why women fail at relationships. Hello and welcome to When Nice Guys Retaliate. This is 12 reasons why women fail at relationships. Number 12. Relationships are not prioritized, so women don't know how to relate. At least some women, I'll say, don't know how to relate. The basis for a relationship is basically to relate. You find a means of relating. A lot of modern women don't really consider this a priority, and relations or relating usually is more focuses on money, status, physical qualifications, and a particular man. But these qualifications don't really have anything to do with relationships in themselves. Also, if you really want to look at what a relationship is, that will be considered along the lines of finding something you have in common, such as if you like dancing, if you like math, if you like hiking, exercise, reading, sports, things of that nature. It could be something that you have as a hobby. It could be just a common love or a common focus. Number 11, bad communication skills. Talking without saying anything is basically wasting a man's time, or at least that's how he's going to feel. And a lot of times he may get impatient. He may just not really want to talk to you. He may avoid talking to you. So in certain situations, let's just say a guy does have a particular interest in you, but he doesn't like talking to you. The only thing he may seek from you is a sexual relationship. So if a man is only seeking to have sex with you, this is an indication that he may not find you interesting as a person, or he may not find what you have to say as educational or advantageous. This means he can only literally relate to you on a sexual basis. So you want to find a man who can actually do both. Any man can relate to you on a sexual basis, but on a relational basis, that's something totally different. Also, if you don't know what you like, there's no way a man was going to know what you like either. And even if a man could read your mind, how's he going? You don't have anything in there to offer him to even be able to read. So it's important to basically be active in a particular relationship. Not only to be in the relationship for it to progress, but also to learn more about what you like and what you don't like. And you shouldn't punish a man for not knowing something that you don't know either. Hence the reason why, if you have no direction, he can probably sense the fact that you don't have any direction or a particular direction in your life. And that may be the reason why he's not willing to commit to you. The question of what do you bring to the table? A very interesting question. I kind of like it. It's a little loaded question, but not necessarily a bad question. If it's really a diss if you're in a relationship with a man and he asks, if you are pressing him for a relationship and he states this question to you, that basically means that he hasn't found in you what he's looking for. And it's more like a challenge. And so I guess you could say it's really, if you're pressing somebody or a man up for a particular relationship and he comes back with this question, I'd say you probably are both in the wrong in some way, form, or fashion. You need more communication. Number 10, being unreliable. What can a man trust you to do? Can you cook? Can you clean? Can he trust you for sex? Can he trust you to take care of kids? Can he trust you to keep secrets? Or can he not trust you for sex, not trust you for cleaning, not trust you for taking care of kids, not trusting you to keep secrets? There has to be something a man is able to rely on you for. Just like you're relying on the man for security, he has to be able to rely on you for something. But if the only thing you're offering is sex and he can't even rely on you for sex, then that is it's not a very good investment for him, or he's not going to consider it a very good investment. Just like you wouldn't in some circumstances, but that's a whole other story. Why is this important? It's important for building trust. Trust is very important to men because women actually get into the vulnerable spot, or can get into the vulnerable spot of a man in a relationship, and that ability to be in that place gives you special knowledge of information that could be detrimental to the man, cause him to be embarrassed, or cause him to be humiliated for whatever reason. Some extreme examples would be if you know he's bad, whether he's good or bad in bed. Even if he's really good in bed and you say he's not, that's still bad. If he's not, packing, if he has a dream or a vision that is a lot of other people don't have, or it may seem to be impossible, you have a knowledge of that, and then not being able to, or not supporting him in that dream, can actually hurt his dream, especially if he's a dreamer that can actually make it come into fruition. Samson and Delilah is they're not characters, but they're two historical figures in the Bible. And to tell you, or to show you the strength of a woman, Samson, he's basically like the strongest man in probably history, in biblical history. And he was able to destroy armies just with his strength and his trust in God. Delilah was one of his love interests. However, Delilah was actually one of the daughters of the enemy, I guess you could say, but he was interested in her. Even though his family told him to leave her alone, don't mess with her, he did anyway. But Delilah basically sold him out for like 20 or 30 pieces of silver. And she was able to get into his vulnerable spot, and other men, or the enemies, they wanted to defeat Samson. So what they did is they basically hired this woman who they knew he had interest in to find out, as a spy, to find out what his weakness was. And of course, Samson didn't necessarily trust her, and he basically would tell her lies a couple times, and then all of a sudden she would just make it like he was being attacked, and he would just break out of the bonds, whatever, because he was so strong. And she would just cry and be like, "Why come you don't trust me?" Well, why should he trust her? But it turns out at some point she basically wore him down, and he did tell her what his secret, the secret to his strength was. And once he did, she gave that information to his enemies. They cut off his hair in this situation, and he lost his strength, and they were able to subdue him because of a woman. And the woman, she wanted money more than she wanted the man. And then he put his trust in a woman that was not trustworthy. All right, so even though he was the strongest man in the world, he lost to a woman. One woman. Okay, so that's how vulnerable men are to women, and part of the reason why men are so very selective in choosing the woman they want to be with. So if you want to be a man's woman, you have to be a clear choice for him. Okay, we'll say in this situation. For some people, you might be thinking, well, that was his fault. He was a simp. If this is true, why do women blame men for breaking their hearts? Does that make you a simp? Does that make you weak? How does that sound? She left him. She left her for. If he left her for another woman, was that your fault? Uh, if a guy made a woman a single mother, is that her fault? To a degree, yeah. All right. But does that make her a simp? Depends on how you look at it. If a woman gives a man money, clothes, a career, but he ends up leaving her for another woman, uh, is it her fault for choosing that man? Yeah, you can say that. Does that make her a simp? Probably, depending on how you look at it, of course, again. But it seems like people are more willing to give the winners the benefit of doubt no matter how they do it. But you got to realize that can go either way. A man can do it to a woman just like a woman can do it to a man. It's not really that different from Samson's situation. It's just an abuse of power. A man can abuse his power just like Delilah abused her power over Samson. Women, I think, have more of a possibility of doing this as opposed to men, but you do have those certain guys, they got everything, But of course, when you got everything, a lot of times people will give you a little bit more grace in doing stuff. And so you'll have men abusing women, and once they get you to a certain point, you actually remain vulnerable to that particular person, which is detrimental to you. The truth of the matter is everybody is a simp for somebody or someone. To be called, the catch is being the catch about being a simp is that you want to be a simp for the right person. All right, you don't want to be a simp for the person that's going to take advantage of you, and that's what a lot of times happens, for men, but as well as for women. And that's where you get, in my opinion, you have a lot of single mothers. You have people that get ripped off financially and other things of that sort. Number 9 of the 12 reasons that women fail at relationships, in my opinion, is not realizing that happiness is a decision. It's not a destination. We have to learn how to be happy with our situation. That doesn't mean we have to be satisfied and not go for something better. However, we need to be able to be thankful and happy for where we are at this point in our lives. If you can't do that, there's nobody in this world is going to be able to make you happy, and that includes a man, whoever he is, how good he is, or whatever. You being unhappy is a decision based on how you want to look at your circumstances. Number 8, today's women expect to be unhappy in relationships. So if I'll just say it seems like feminism has taught women that all men are toxic. In my opinion, that is not true. And also, I think feminism really only focuses on one type of man, and it doesn't realize that there are different types of men. But it does teach in that concept that nice guys are toxic, shy guys are toxic, rich guys are toxic, bad boys are sexy, desired, but are not toxic. Everybody wants a bad boy, but then they complain about all men, but when they're only really focusing on the bad boys they necessarily want, at least in my opinion. And then you're looking at all the rich guys, all the high power guys and stuff like that. But to me, it seems like a lot of women and even men, but we have a lot of tunnel vision when it comes to the people we like. And we're not as, for diverse as we really need. As much as people talk about diversity in the world, people have a black and white mentality about a lot of things and a lot of people, which I think is really, really, really bad. The world has taught women to be more fearful of reality instead of going out to experiences. So you have women who are, they have less fear about going out and getting careers, living alone, and then being sexually promiscuous. But then women are very, it seems like a lot of women are really bad at relating to other people, taking responsibility, as well as dealing with the consequences that comes along with making decisions. Before, when you could just, marry a man and just follow after him, I mean, he could listen to you and then make a decision, but the decision, the consequences of the decision primarily fell on him, and, of course, the woman could be affected. But when you're a single woman and you make your own decisions, all that falls just on you. Okay? Only on you. All right? And even if you're in a relationship and you make that decision, or you push your mate to make that decision, really the fault is yours. But I know in reality you're probably gonna be like, well, why come you didn't listen? Why come you listen to me? Why come you didn't do the right thing? Well, honestly, it's still your fault, because that man, he's just trying to keep the relationship good. But if you force his hand, you're actually taking the decision out of his hand, despite what he's saying. Because I'm pretty sure he's probably going to tell you what he thinks you should do, or you both should do in the situation. But if you're not really submitted to him in that, and you don't really trust him in making decisions, then you're going to run into a bunch of junk anyway. All right, number 7 of the 12 reasons women fail at relationships is women sacrifice legacy for lifestyle. And this is not necessarily every woman, but I think a lot of women these days do that. Legacy requires stability over a long period of time, as well as the ability to transfer it to the new generation. Some examples: you have a relationship legacy, financial legacy, you have marital legacy, all of which are going to affect your kids and their legacies as well. Relational legacy, so if divorce is something that you have, you're actually putting your daughters and sons in the position to experience divorce or bad relationships or not get married at all. Financial legacy, if you spend all your money, guess what? Your kids are probably going to spend all their money because they don't see you doing it, right? They don't see you budgeting. And then marital legacy kind of goes along, goes with the divorce thing. But you can also see this with single mothers that have daughters, and the daughters end up becoming single mothers. Okay, and then their daughters become single mothers because they're basically in like a time warp. And because it's following along the lines of this new kind of feminism movement where you don't necessarily listen to your moms, you don't want to be traditional and stuff like that, you don't give your kids another option to be successful. All right, you just basically laid the path for them, and they don't know how to stray from it. And it's extremely difficult once you do learn a new path to actually put that on or to convey that to your sons and your daughters, because they don't have a physical example of it. And then TV is not necessarily helping us either. Multiple relationships, divorce, kids out of wedlock, lies are all the signs of instability. Not knowing yourself is an element of instability, because over time you'll learn more about yourself, which is most likely the cause of life disruption, such as changes in your degree plan if you're going to school, relationships, and careers. So the earlier you learn who you are as a person, the less likely you'll have life disruptions such as divorce and all this other stuff that can go along with it. That's a result of instability, self-instability. Number 6, women prioritize their looks over their personality. Feminism says men should do the opposite. meaning that men should look at a woman's personality. The problem is there are a lot of women who still rely on their looks to get over in life. A man asks, what do you bring to the table? Women say, I bring me to the table. So the only thing that you bring to the table is your body, your ability to make babies. So looking at going back to the feminism thing where you want a man to look at you for your personality, this is a conflicting view. The funny thing is that men see the logic in not judging a woman just based on her beauty. And it's a really good thing for men. But it's not necessarily good for women, even though it is good. It just makes being chosen as a woman a lot harder, because now you can't just be beautiful anymore. You have to bring other things to the table other than yourself. So whereas feminism did a lot for women in career, to me feminism really wasn't something that it did not benefit women in relationships at all. It gave you more choices and more options, but it also gave you more responsibilities and less options as far as relationships. And then on top of that, men have adopted, I can do all by myself. They don't necessarily need women. Okay? And why? If there's a 70% chance of losing half your stuff after being married to a woman, why get married? If you can lose your kids, why get married? Or why have kids with a woman? Now you got things where you don't even have to be the biological father of the kid, and you can have paying child support for a kid that's not even yours. Not to mention have to deal with the humiliation of where the kid actually came from and other issues. So it's becoming less and less advantageous for men to even be married to women nowadays, which is something that you guys should take note of and try to change that, But hey, it's up to you. It's kind of a catch-22. Number 5, believing relationships are solely the man's responsibility is the next reason women fail at relationships, in my opinion. Relationships take two people and requires a mutual benefit for both people. That's the man and the woman. Otherwise, there is a father-daughter relationship or more the father-princess-daughter relationship, in my opinion. Fathers embody and teach daughters what a man is and how the relationship should look. A man should not have to do this for his wife, Realistically, even a father should require chores and cooking from his daughter just so she knows how to take care of herself and other people. Not necessarily that to take care of a man, but just to know how to do it in general. And the cool thing about being a woman is that you can always fall back on being a wife, to somebody, hopefully a good man, for survival. A man necessarily normally can't do that. He has to stand on his own and be able to support other people at the same time. So why do women want to give up that? Well, I guess you're going to find out if that's where you go. It's important, and also just important, knowing how to cook, clean, take care of your stuff like that is really important for you to take care of yourself. All right, because just because you are successful, if you don't know how to take care of your house, you got a whole nother issue coming. And that can result in a whole lot of money too. So getting in with a man that's even handy can be advantageous to you. But it seems like a lot of women don't really understand what a man is and what a man can do for you other than finances and a realm of security. And that's a really big vulnerability for women, especially in today's world. Number 4, women that believe being strong and independent and being being grown up are two different things. This is a bad thought process because men don't want immature women that can't take care of themselves. Okay? It literally means you are of no use or benefit to a man, and he can't even rely on you if you cannot take care of yourself as a grown up. So to admit that you are a strong, independent woman means that you're not reliable and you can leave the man at any time and for any reason. So most men will take a woman saying, I'm a strong, independent woman, as a warning. Basically, it's one of the worst things you could probably say, I think, to a man who's, to a good man. It's not a badge of honor at all. It may be a badge of honor to other women, but definitely not to men. That said, predatory or non-committing men, these guys, they really like strong, independent women. The reason being is because if you can take care of yourself, he doesn't have to. So there is no responsibility in his mind for you. He'll call you queen. He'll say everything that makes you feel nice and comfortable with him. But he's banking on the fact that he doesn't have to take care of you. And that's including if you have a kid. All right. In my opinion, if you're saying that you're a strong, independent black woman, it actually invites the wrong type of guy. Specifically for that reason. Number 3, women that prioritize career over family. Kids are raised in daycare. Husbands are expected to be high earners, and fend for themselves. Meaning he has to cook and clean and do everything in the housework. Then you have basically your career is basically your family, it's your husband, and to a degree you're actually betraying your family for your career. And then that's going to have a bad effect on your family in the long term. That said, men normally die earlier than women. And that's men being in the role of a breadwinner. I'm curious, I thought I heard before that women are starting to die earlier now as they become breadwinners. So that's interesting. So you're taking on the women are taking on the stress of men. And then even more if you're a single mother, because you're everything in the house. You don't have anybody else to rely on. And your kids, you won't be able to rely on your kids until they get grown. And that's hopefully. And then again, that's even kind of unfair to them as well. So you could be basically alone by the time you actually need somebody to help you. I'm not sure if traditional men actually were able to enjoy life the way I think a lot of women see it. However, I think because men were respected in the home more, and they would get things like the big piece of chicken, they had to say so and stuff like that. I think that made actually being a traditional husband more tolerable, especially in a situation where you worked more than you necessarily had the opportunity to benefit and go on vacations and stuff like that. Most men that I know of, they did not go on vacation without their spouse. When they went on vacation, they took their family. It wasn't no hot guy summer going to Jamaica or wherever playing around with women for most men. Number 2 of the 12 reasons women fail at relationships, in my opinion. Not realizing that your dream man is just a dream man. The dream man you have in your head is just in your head. And the man you have in your heart is just in your heart until he's in your arms. And the man you have in your arms is not truly your man unless he commits to you and you alone. Number 1 of the 12 reasons women fail at relationships in my opinion, is not knowing who you are and how you will fit into a man in a relationship with a particular man. Who are you and what do you really want in life? Is a question you should ask yourself. Is what you want based on movies or what other women want? Is what you want realistic? Meaning, have you met any man with the characteristics you want in a man? James Bond does not exist. He is a fictional character, and so is the woman that's able to tame his heart. So just because you can't tame a Tyrone or whoever or a James Bond or that guy, that don't mean it's even possible. Okay, find out who you can. Well, I don't think you should tame anybody, or anybody should tame you. You should just have somebody you can be with. But that's another story. You should ask ask yourself a question: why do you really even want this man? Is it because of money, sex, status? These things are easy. They're easy to see and just find. But is that really what your truth is? Or is it based on what somebody else believes that is supposed to be high value? How does that person actually make you feel as a person? Does your career and desires conflict with this person? Does your career and desires conflict with his? If you want to live in California, but he wants to live in New York, why would you try to force this or work in a relationship? Or force this to work in a relationship if you want to go in two different directions? In this situation, somebody has to lose. And anytime someone has to lose or give up something in a relationship, I think it's trouble, whether it's you or the man. The funny thing about it is, I think this is how feminism started, is because, excuse me, the world was men were taking back jobs that they already had, and women didn't want that. They liked the idea of working outside the home. So it also caused issues and ultimately resulted in feminism being born. At least that's one of the issues. So to me, it's better to consider a situation where two people want to live in two different locations as a deal breaker, and that you should find somebody who's already living in California, or find someone who's already told you that they want to live in California, and follow along with the same idea or dream that you do. I would recommend that you stop looking for a man and asking him to change his game plan to line up with yours, and vice versa. You should find someone, in my opinion, and y'all are going in the same direction, have the same vision. Because if you're going in the same direction, same division, or direction, you have to going in the same direction, you have the same vision and dreams, you have less likely chance to part. Okay? You actually creating security the more you have in how do you say it? The more you have in the more you relate to the person you want to be with, the more secure your relationship is going to be. All right, there's probably a better way of saying that, but I can't think of it right now. Let's see. So, find a man that's already lining up with your dreams and desires. And if he doesn't exist, then you may not be realistic about the man you're looking for. So you might want to reevaluate the man you want, and then find out if he actually exists. And then you could break it down into characteristics and look for that in specific men. But at the same time, write down the characteristics that you actually see in men and find out which ones that you like the most. That said, these are just my opinions. You have every right to disregard everything I said in this video. You can take a little piece of it, you know what I'm saying? You can take one of these, you can mix it up, make whatever you want to do with it. But the whole purpose of it is to help you guys out as women, and hopefully help men and women in general just to have better relationships. But this is what happens when nice guys retaliate. Take care and be safe.